I'm happy to join you today at the Fundamental Conference. But before we jump into the slides, I would like to ask you a warm-up question. So, how relevant is design to you, guys? Do you work in a design area? Is it just a hobby? Are you a fan of design? I'll be really happy to see your answers in the chat. So, yeah, I see that already some people are writing. Yeah, I'm happy to see some fans of design here. Great, perfect. Thank you a lot, everyone. So, let's say that architecture and UX design are like two roads, each in their own path, in their own area. However, both directed towards the same destination. But what are those two roads? Are there any intersections? And what is this collective destination in the end? That's what I would like to share with you today. And let's start with exploring some of the common aspects between architecture and UX design. It's all about the user, and I would like to emphasize on that. No product, whether it's digital or physical, can succeed if it doesn't focus on the user's needs. Architecture, UX design, and design in general would be pointless to exist without their users. We can say that the user is like the main character of a movie, and it's the reason that drives the story forward. Thanks to the user's needs, requirements, and demands, design evolves and offers new products, enhances others, and in that way keeps the spark of creativity alive. And thinking about that, the conclusion might be even that the users are the main factor and reason for progress. In that sense, it's important to say that design should be distinguished from pure art, and that needs to be underlined. Both design and art are products of creativity, yes, of course. However, art is a subject for interpretation, and here is the main difference. Everyone can understand it in their own way, they can see it through their own eyes. Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, had said that art is purposeless, meaning that it doesn't need to justify any reason of existing and being valued by others. So it is art. It tends to provoke an emotion within you, and sometimes even no emotion leaves some sort of an impact. Design, on the other hand, pursues the goal to solve problems. And it does so by communicating clear messages with the user. It doesn't leave much space for interpretation, and it shouldn't. But we often talk about good and bad design. So I guess you might have been in a situation where you want to push a door to open it, but instead you need to pull it. I guess you get frustrated, wave by with a hand, but deeply inside of you, you wish that this door was designed better. Good design is invisible for us, and we often get by it. But when we see something that we don't like, that's a whole another story. Because after all, we are the users. We tend to like and dislike some of the design products because after all, we are the measure of this product. Talking about products, let's take a look at some basic components of a product, whether it's in architecture or in UX design. Starting from a small element and building all our way up to a bigger picture. Let's use a simple chair as an example. On one side, it's a base component for the architectural environment, base, but still very important one. We all use chairs in our daily lives and we rarely pay attention to, unfortunately. On the other hand, let's examine a digital component, like a button, for instance, something without which we wouldn't be able to do most of our needed interactions. I mean, come on, we can't remember all the keyboard shortcuts, can we? So now that we introduced these two main components, the chair on one side and the button on the other side, let's start building our picture. These two elements could be a part of a group. Few similar elements all combined together, like for example, two chairs and a table can create a sitting area, and a button can be part of a bigger control, like a filter bar, for instance. While we continue building up our picture further, we can see that this sitting area can be a part of a large living room, and the filter bar can be of great use for some web page. You can see that here the analogy is sort of clear. Whether or not we're talking about physical objects like a chair or a table or digital controls, the idea is the same. These elements might be different in their core meaning, however, they're used in a pretty similar manner. Now we have built our two big pictures, a living room on one side and a web page on the other. These base components that we just talked about helped us create a space formed by walls or by the screen. And this arrangement of different elements grouped together is what a layout is. In architecture, layouts determine spaces, dimensions, positions of internal building rooms, while in UX design, a layout is the structure that supports the visual components of an interface. As you can see, this term is used in both architecture and UX design, and I would say that that's not a coincidence. In both cases, layouts display the combination of elements and the connection between those groups. But most of all, and most importantly, layouts are a way to represent information, whether it's physical or digital. And what about the connection between these groups of elements? Think for a second. Why do we navigate from one point to another? People tend to move from room to room depending on what they need to do or what they need to get from there. It's the same in an application. We move from page to page depending on what action we need to do or what information we need to access. So we can even think of a hallway as some sort of a landing page of a house, the sole starting point from where we can reach most of the other places. But imagine a situation. You're getting home after some grocery shopping. You carry all the bags, two in each hand, one under the armpit. You try to unlock your home. You're looking for your keys, which, as usual, are at the bottom of the bag. And finally, you manage to open the door and enter your home. So where would you put all these bags that you carry with yourself? I assume that's not going to be the bedroom. That room doesn't bring the purpose and the function that you need in this particular moment. You might just leave the bags in the hallway or bring them to the kitchen. I guess, well, who knows? Someone can surprise me with another idea. So if you have any other ideas, feel free to share it in the chat. I'll be happy to see it. But when we think about such situation, what would it feel like if we're looking for the kitchen to put our groceries there and it's nowhere to be found? It's not where it's supposed to be. On the contrary, the kitchen might be only accessed through the bathroom, which is going to be pretty weird, don't you think? So think about this frustrating situation. you bring all these things with you and you want to put them in the kitchen and you can't find it. Unfortunately, something similar may happen in the digital medium too. Imagine that you're browsing through an application and you can't find the login page. You look at the toolbar, it's not there. It's not in some menu whatsoever, nowhere to be found. Some navigational patterns are established after years of research and design explorations. And there are many good practices out there. And there is reason why some things should be connected and others not. And one of those reasons in the meaning of navigation is the functionality. Purpose and function are crucial characteristics which help you define the navigational pattern, and most importantly, they give the product a goal to fulfill. In architecture, defining a purpose of a building is extremely important and needs to be done prior to the ideation phase. It's similar in design too. Whether it's a house, a factory, or even a church, each type of building has corresponding requirements, and these requirements are defined by the purpose and function of the building. Imagine that your bedroom is with the size of a sports hall. Huge room, probably could fit a tennis court inside. So you have this whole space, and in the middle of it, your bed. I'm not sure most of you would feel comfortable in living such large space. So in the end, the area size, the rooms, the proportions, even the interior elements, these are only the few elements which affect your experience with architecture. And the same applies for application, I think. Their purpose defines what elements to use, how the navigation should happen, and in the end, what will be the desired impact that we as designers want to achieve on our users. The digital experiences, as well as these with the physical environment, should be based on the content and the context. Sometimes you may want to have some fun watching amusing videos online, or in other occasions, you would want to feel secure and assured of every step of a process of a bank transaction, for instance. The purpose and functionality places us in a situation, and from them we can draw conclusions and explore what should be the desired impact on the users. Sometimes users actually can leave their mark on the impact that I just mentioned. An example of such an influence is the user's option to make a personalization of their applications. So have you ever thought how a single room can have different options for furnishing? We all design our homes based on our own preferences. Some apps have this functionality too, yes, and some limitations, but still it allows users to put a little bit of themselves in the product. For instance, you can change your email theme, color, or even font. Something small, but still make it yours. Probably, in this case, architecture offers more freedom. It simply gives you a blank space to fill with elements and colors, only depending on your personal taste. And I believe we have all experienced this when we have made renovations at home. So personalizations is one of the few options for the user to jump into the world of the product and make it a little bit their own. And yes, step by step, we managed to reach our destination. But What is it, you may ask? Well, this brings us back, way back, like 2000 years ago, at the age of the Roman Empire, ancient times. Back then, there was a man, an architect, who worked alongside Julius Caesar's best engineers. His name was Vitruvius, and he wrote one of the best works of its time, the 10 Books of Architecture. So this was the first attempt to collect all the knowledge in construction and design and convey it into the first textbooks, I would call them. The books were written as a really huge and basic guide for building projects. They contained various information on planning cities, structures, buildings, and even construction materials. But most importantly, it also explored the human proportions, which later inspired the Renaissance artists. In the 10 Books of Architecture, Vitruvius defined the 3 key attributes which buildings should have: strength, usability, and beauty. I guess probably back then, Vitruvius didn't expect that these 3 words would also describe the features of a good UX product, or any product in general. A product, whether it's physical or digital, should be strong, meaning that it should be stable and durable. It should be useful, of course, successfully serve a purpose and respond to users' needs. And in the third place, the product should be beautiful, meaning that it should be connected with the aesthetics of its context, but also the beautiful adjective here refers to the attention to detail and the craftsmanship of this product. So I guess that these 3 adjectives are valid for any product. Yeah, indeed. However, nowadays, I believe that one more attribute should be added to the Vitruvius triad. A product should also be sustainable. Whether created for the physical or digital medium, our products need to incorporate the thought of the future. Being sustainable doesn't only mean being recyclable. It means that the design work shouldn't stop when the product is created and the user is satisfied with it. Design should also consider the moment after the use, when the product, also the moment when the product is no longer needed. And by applying those 4 pillars of the good design, I believe throughout the years, we have managed to create great products and answer users' needs in many different areas. But now, I believe that we should continue this work and bring it higher, even to the next level. I want you to think of architecture and UX design as 2 roads leading to the same destination. It's true that one is meant to exist in the physical, while the other in the digital medium. The building methods, materials, and even elements might differ. However, in the end, when we draw a line and summarize it all products should be strong, useful, beautiful, and sustainable. And by knowing this, we can draw inspiration from different places that at first glance may seem disconnected from our area. But I want you to remember one thing. Similarities can be found in different areas. Architecture and UX design are just a simple example. By discovering common aspects, we can get on board with unfamiliar tasks easily, draw inspiration, and be open to explore unconventional trails. We are all explorers, and I'm truly curious what comes next, what you will discover. Yeah, I'm happy that you joined me in this journey of the parallels between architecture and UX design. And it was a great pleasure being with you today. So yeah, just to open the Q&A part, I would like to ask you, what are the key takeaways?